Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Life is Strange on the PlayStation 4. This is also available on the Xbox One, PC, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. I believe that's everything. Anyway, this is available for digital download on PC, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, as well as PS4 and Xbox One. That's a lot of systems, so if I repeated myself, I apologize. There are physical copies for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. If you can, I definitely recommend that if you want to play this game to pick up the physical copy because there's a lot of cool extras. This game has one of the best licensed soundtracks that I heard. Maybe it's my personal taste in music. It's more in the way of indie music, which I personally really enjoy, in indie rock. And it's one of the best licensed soundtracks I've ever heard that wasn't part of a radio station, say like the Grand Theft Auto games, which had excellent soundtracks, but you picked them on a radio station as you played like you would in real life, as this kind of has licensed songs based on what's happening. This is made by, according to the computer, it's pronounced Dontnod, but I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation or I heard the computer wrong. It's made by a developer that's native language is French, so I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's spelled Dontnod, so Dontnod Entertainment. It sounds, hopefully I'm saying it right. If I'm not, I apologize. I'm just going by what the computer told me to say because I didn't want to make an ass out of myself, but I'll probably do that with ADD. Go figure. But anyway, I really want to share this game. This is a game I feel that if you give it a legit chance, it's for everyone if you like the adventure genre. But there are going to be some things I think that are going to scare people away. This is made by the developers that made, in my opinion, the excellent Remember Me. Remember Me didn't have the greatest fighting mechanics. They were really weird. Like, as you progress through the game, you would learn how to do combos and whatnot. But what really intrigued me about that particular game was the setting and the storytelling. Now, I think the developer is right at home with this particular game because this game clearly focused on story and not fighting mechanics. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but action might not be this developer's specialty. I think that they're excellent storytellers, and what this game does very, very, very well is to tell a compelling story and create an interesting atmosphere and have characters that you actually give a shit about. Also, the art is really great, as you can see as I'm looking through Max's diary. You can see the little stickers and stuff like that. There's so much work put into a game that was originally episodic content. This game sold well enough where Square Enix eventually decided to come out with the physical copies. The physical copy, the plain Jane version, is going to run you about $30. It's probably cheaper now. The special edition, which isn't all that rare, I would prefer to get that one because that one actually comes with a clamshelled CD soundtrack. I mean, when's the last time you've seen that? Usually you get a freaking voucher with a code on it and you have to download the music from your computer. And I really enjoy the soundtrack if you like indie rock. The only bands I can think of offhand that are on there are Amanda Palmer and Mogwai, but it has a really cool soundtrack. And it comes with an excellent art book that it isn't super thick, but I just love the art style of this game. It's very painterly like, even though it's 3D, they obviously use like a pastel or oil paint like texture scheme. So it's not that the textures and everything are blurry or they're using low res textures. This game's purposely supposed to look like that. Like if you look at any of the concept artwork, that's what it looks like, and it matches very, very well. One of the things that might turn off some people, if you're a male, you might not like playing as a female. I know a few people that are like that. I personally don't care, but that might be something that you might not like. I personally don't get it. And playing as a high school kid could make it even weirder. Like, she's a senior in high school that goes to this school for gifted slash rich kids. She's on a scholarship, or she got some sort of grant money. I don't know offhand. You can read all the stuff in her diary. I think it explains it all. I've given a break off of this game to finish Doom, so the game's not fresh in my mind. You can pretty much play this part in the free demo that's also available on the PlayStation, pretty much any platform it's on. I was going to list all the platforms again, but all listed platforms you can play the demo. The PlayStation 4 and PC versions versus and the Xbox One versus the PS3 and Xbox 360 version, there's not a lot of gameplay differences. The frame rate seems pretty similar. It's just a sharper version, plus you can get the physical copies on Xbox One and PS4, and the special edition, limited edition version is only $10 more. It's $40. That's still $20 less than a brand new game. And this is one of the better games I've played in a long time. This might be on my top 10 list at the end of the year if I'm motivated enough to make one of those. The one I made last year was really long. So you play as Max Cloudfield. And it's kind of hard to do this video because I don't want to spoil everything and tell you the story, because this kind of introduces you to everything. So I'll try to go around it as much as possible as you see it unfold. And again, most of this is in the demo. I just really wanted to talk about this game because I think a lot of people are going to skip it because you're playing as a high school senior, and again, maybe playing as a female, if you're a male, might make you skip this game. Although I notice a lot of people that have that contention don't mind playing the Tomb Raider games or whatever, games like that are more action packed. So I don't know, maybe it's just the role the female plays, but it does sort of come off at first as a high school drama, but you want to kind of let that go because this game covers some pretty deep shit. This game is very, very dark. It has a mature rating, and it's not just because one small thing like offended somebody or anything like that. But yeah, I know quite a few people that wouldn't give this game a chance just because of the high school atmosphere, and you're playing as I believe she's 18. I was going to say teenager. That's still technically a teenager. I know you're considered an adult at 18, but it still has teen in the title as well as 19. But here, at least in the U.S., you're considered an adult. Although you can't drink till you're 21, which is really weird, but you can give your life to your country if you want to, which is really strange. But in order to give your life to the bottle, you have to wait a few more years. But anyway, and that wasn't dissing anything. I just think that's interesting. But neurologically, the brain is actually still maturing till around that age, believe it or not. So it actually can do some damage at 18. But there's other countries where drinking starts at 16. Not that that's even important to this, but you know, I ramble. It's my thing. But yeah, this game's an adventure game, kind of like the Telltale games. Max has a special ability that you'll see in this game a little bit later. And there's a lot of deep, dark stuff. It reminds me, this is one of the cool soundtrack moments that's in the game. I have the sound turned all the way down as I'm recording this, so I can't hear it. But yeah, it has like cool licensed music, and it's put in all the right places. I'm not sure, maybe because they weren't sure how this game was going to be accepted, but I think it's really cool. And I like that with everything you do, she writes in her diary. There's little bios. When she gets a text message, you can check her cell phone and stuff like that. The world is very detailed, and it feels like a living, breathing place. Like when I play this game, I feel like I'm exploring a real place, and I feel really immersed in this world, even though it's not like Grand Theft Auto and you can't go anywhere. But I really feel like I'm visiting this prestigious school in Oregon, and it's really cool. And there's a lot of references that older people get as well as younger ones. One of the things I have noticed, at least to me, I mean, I'm 31, so the past like a couple of years ago, I worked with younger kids. I don't think the younger kids, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, people around Max's age in this, and I think some of the slang and the way they talk in this game isn't exactly accurate, and definitely seems like it's written by older people, but it's fine. After a while you forget about it, and the people that do the voice acting are very talented and very believable. One of my issues with The Walking Dead was that some of the voice acting seemed very cartoony, where this voice acting is a lot more believable and you buy into it. I also like this art style a little bit more than the Telltale games. I think the oil pastel look doesn't add realism to it, but I buy more into this art style than the comic book art style of the Telltale games. But that's just, and you saw a little F-bomb there, so yeah, definitely earns its mature rating, especially with some of the more fucked up shit that goes on. As you progress, there's 5 chapters in the game, and as you progress, the story gets a lot more dark and a lot more fucked up in ways that you wouldn't expect it to. And that's what makes this game so great and I think enjoyable. You'll get little photo ops. If you looked earlier in the video, you'd see me going through my journal, and you'd see like the episodes listed, and there were all these black and white photos. Those are actually photo ops that, I guess, for trophies. I don't know if the PC version has achievements or whatever the PC version has. I think the most recent PC game that I played was BioShock Infinite on my PC, so I'm not up to date on the newest games on PC. But yeah, you get achievements or trophies depending on what platform you play as, if you're able to take pictures of those things that are outlined. And there's little things that you can manipulate. I won't say how, because you'll be able to find out in a little while. But there's little things that you can manipulate that you didn't realize you could till the end of the game, and then you'll see all the things you missed out on, kind of like on the Walking Dead Telltale games, where once you end a chapter, if you're hooked up online, this isn't an online required game by any means, but it does, if you have an online connection, it will compare you to what other players pick. So this is one of those games that is going to be a different experience based on the choices that you make. So if you make different choices, you'll have a different experience each time you play, at least until, I guess, you've made every possible combination. But I feel like this game has more variables than the Walking Dead games. And don't get me wrong, I'm not picking on the Walking Dead games. I think they're excellent games. But I think this game does things a little bit better. The Walking Dead games, though, are fun in their own way with the zombie apocalypse, and there's more action-oriented things to do. But everything's just so well fleshed out. This is really where I think the developers should be focusing on. I hope they do more adventure games. Because don't remember me, or whatever it was called, or Remember Me, I think it was called. Sorry, I have a brain fart when I do these videos. This is what I mean by manipulation. I didn't want to spoil it, but Max can rewind time. So if something bad happens, sometimes you can go back and change your choices, or you can get information that you acquired later on and go back in time now that you know this information and change it. There's all different ways to manipulate time, and as you go through each chapter, you'll find unique ways that you can do it versus just fixing your mistakes. You'll find out that you'll be able to do something, and when you go back in time, sometimes some things won't change. So like if you're trying to solve a puzzle or whatnot, you'll be able to do things step by step until you eventually figure out the whole thing. Because sometimes there'll be like 5 things you have to do, and you got to keep on rewinding until you do all 5 things. But each time you go back in time, after you do one thing, you go back in time, you'll do another thing, and then the third time when you go back in time, the 2 things will already be done. So there's unique ways you can manipulate time. You can do it through conversation and stuff like that. But you also have to be very, very vigilant about your surroundings. Like, this is one of those games that it really pays off to explore everything and read things and pay attention to things, because even though it doesn't seem like it has consequence now, later on it might come and bite you in the ass. And it might be something as little as like reading a postcard on somebody's table. That little bit of information might help you solve a puzzle. Like, you're not gonna ruin the gameplay experience as a whole, as far as like you won't be able to, even though this isn't the kind of game that you'll win, but some of your choices will drastically change the story, the outcome, the fate of characters. And then after it's said and done, sometimes there's absolutely nothing you can do, and you actually can save a character, let's say, by one little thing that you happen to read or pay attention to, or when you talk to somebody, you can bring up something based on something that you saw just in the background. So make sure you pay attention to everything. But it does seem a little intimidating at first if you're not in high school. But this game kind of makes me feel a little nostalgic about my high school. But then when it gets dark, and it has this whole Donnie Darko vibe as well, it's just a really cool game. And once you leave the school, you'll start dealing with more real shit, and it goes beyond just the girl that's really gifted as photography, and there's a lot of shit that you have to do. And even though sometimes things seem like the right thing to do, you have to really think about the overall consequences, because sometimes what's morally right can eventually get you in more trouble later on. And this game really tackles the duality of that sort of thought process, that sometimes when you think you're doing the right thing, it actually can hurt somebody, and maybe being patient, doing something a little bit more risky later on will have a better payoff. So you definitely want to think before you make a choice. Usually there's like a little icon, at least in the beginning. I think the game sort of holds your hand a little bit more, almost like a tutorial, without going out and blatantly say it's a tutorial. But as you go in further in the game, it kind of lets go of your hand a little bit, and then you have to figure out shit. And there's a lot, even though it's not an action game, there's a lot of tense moments that you'll feel like as if you were playing an action game. And it's just so cool, and I can't say enough good things about this game. I feel like you should try it at least once, even if this isn't your kind of game. And it won't cost you anything to play the demo. I don't like telling people what to do, but I really feel like this is a very cool video game experience that I would actually consider art. And this really, I feel like, takes the genre into a new direction, or at least does it better than some of these other adventure games. I mean, the puzzles and everything aren't terribly difficult or anything like that, but it just tells a compelling story that you interact with, and you actually feel like what you're doing matters, and it actually makes a difference. But like I said, this first chapter kind of holds your hand, so you're kind of expected to do all this stuff. But there's some choices even in this first chapter that you can fuck shit up. I'm not gonna say what, but everything has a consequence. like that butterfly. The game very much focuses on the whole aspect of like the butterfly effect, where like everything you do has consequences and has ripples through time, so when you go back everything's slightly different, even to the smallest minute thing, and it's really cool. Lip syncing isn't the best, but the performances and the acting I feel like has been better than the Telltale games, which I really enjoy. I've Tales from Borderlands, I haven't played that yet. That voice acting seems a lot better, but the first season of The Walking Dead was hit or miss. The second season was more hit than miss. I think this guy's a little bit overboard, but for a video game, most of the voice acting is pretty good. And it sucks that they don't have physical copies, or at least that I saw physical copies of the 7th gen consoles, but I mean, any way that you could play it, I would definitely recommend it. Like, the digital download's dirt cheap, but again, that's hard drive space, so I don't know how you feel about that. I personally would just get the disc and the special edition. Well, of course I would. That's what I did. This isn't the demo. This is actually the disc. That's why I'm staying still. Usually the demo would stop around this point. But thank you so much for watching. I would definitely recommend playing this, even if you're like a guy who doesn't like playing as girls, or you don't like the high school theme. Trust me, this game gets into deep shit. And if you like adventure games or interesting story and interesting mechanics and time travel and cool little references to shows like Twin Peaks, Planet of the Apes, and other nerdy shit, I would definitely recommend this for any age that's able to handle some deep content. If you're able to watch R-rated movies, or if you're an adult, of course you would be, I definitely would recommend playing this game. I can't say enough good things about this game. Life is Strange. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. I hope you're well. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!